Yay! How are you,
That's how
man?
you
I'm
fix it.
good. I am
Hey,
great. I
Dale.
am thoroughly enjoying your birthday. Happy birthday,
Thank you,
Nia!
Jesse.
This was a great gift. I'm glad you did this. Um, and I think I want to do it when it's my birthday because this was so much fun. One, to see again your family, the family that you've got by blood, but also the spiritual family that obviously has become very important and is important to us as we get older, because I turned 23. I turned 63, and yeah, you know more people than you used to. So it's wonderful to be able to, embrace that family during that one time of the year when our we were made manifest in the physical sense, right? Because
Yep.
that spiritual
Yep.
one keeps going forever and ever and ever, many, many, many times.
Yep.
And so it's kind of cool to be able to do that with these great spirits. Dale, pleasure to meet you. Love what
Oh,
you're saying.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I was going to say earlier, Nia, when you were talking to someone about being on that path and how I don't remember who it was you were talking to, but just always questing, always looking. Um, but vibration and the fact that you're a
Yes.
song and dance spirit artist, because that's what you are,
Yep.
that vibration you have always had with you. And the one thing that we connected on when we started working together, and the lucky thing about being in that character dynamic in the plot, right?
Yep.
Because how many times can you break up and make up? But it was hilarious. We were always breaking up and making up. But the good thing about it is it got out of everyone, out of the entire ensemble cast, who I loved, but it allowed me to work with you the most. 75% of the time we were working together on
Yep.
numbers, we were choreographing, we were dancing. And to me, that's my love making to the universe. That's what I do. That more than anything is the only thing, I too have been challenged in relationships. And I've failed miserably because of my emotional trauma. I was the child of alcoholic parents and substance abuse parents, and it led to very dysfunctional family units. I was raised by my grandmother, my grandparents. And so those of us that succeeded in our family, we've done it despite the odds. But art was the one thing that I could do really well. And it gave me a
Yep.
career, but it also allowed me to share the best of myself with someone, especially my friend here, Nia, who's celebrating a birthday. So I'm going to do something, and you can probably hear in my neighborhood, there's a lot of strays, but we let the animals be who they are. We let the authorities handle all that. But if you hear them baying in the background, that's not by design. I really wanted mariachis, but you get the baying of the South Side San Antonio Hines. But this is what we do on the birthday, right? And it's our Mexican roots. And it goes something like this. It's called Las Mañanitas, the little mornings. Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David. A las mujeres bonitas se las cantamos así. Despierta, mi bien, despierta, mira que ya amaneció. Y a los pajarillos cantan, la luna ya se metió. Happy birthday, Nia. Las
Thank
Mañanitas
you.
and many, 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 many more always. But that vibration, I think, that song, and that's one of the things that I continue to do is share the song because that vibration will always be true
Yes.
and the truest form of what we share with each other. So I'm so very lucky to have shared that vibration with you in the peaks of our career, but always, whenever we do those reunions and
Yep.
you're on stage with me, Nia, and we're giving it, and the songs that we decide to sing, Higher Love, the songs that you sing
Yep.
for those audiences, that's where we keep that heart vibration going. So don't ever give that up. I know that's always been a challenge, especially in the later years. But if it's one thing that Odin's, path is going to show you through wisdom, is that you do have a very, very special gift, and it's rooted with all this good that you want to do. So I'm so glad, Dale, that you're reiterating that vibration in that original language in Aramaic. One of the things we're doing with the American Indians of Texas group that I work with, they're Coahuiltecans. Well, we got Christianized back in the 1700s. So our language, especially when the United States Authority was designating Native American culture, was, do you still have your language intact? We'd lost ours hundreds of years before. So one of the things we're doing with this group is reclaiming our Pajalate language. But when you listen to the original name for San Antonio, Wanakanwa Pupaco Yanaguana, you see in that, and we also use it in our teepee ceremonies, in our bear lodge dances, in our songs. So when you hear that language in song, in prayer now, it becomes like Tonantzin. It becomes like those ancient Aramaic beginnings, and that's the true vibration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it does bring healing. It brings cultural healing. It brings family healing, because that's one of the things that this organization deals with, is a lot of, in the barrio, a lot of the indigenous community, which is synonymous with the Latino, the immigrant, the marginalized communities, is that they are all hurt. There is an enormous soul wound.
Absolutely.
That, and again, we look at what we accept as the authorities, which is the government, which is the medical profession. We've given up in our society, we've given up our power to them. And one of the things we realize is they're not there to make us feel better. They're not there to heal us. There is a very heinous, system that's been created. It's business.
That's one of the things I write about in my book, is how the system is built to feed itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And survive.
It's not. Yeah,
it's a self-survival thing for itself.
Yeah.
By design. By design,
why,
because that is the spiritual conflict, I think. Yeah. And what we do as artists, what you did as an artist, as a young artist, but beyond that, what you've done with your path, sister, you always inspire me. And I want to say this, because we never get the chance to say that when we're in the middle of trying to perform, put on a show. And I know we give each other the confidence of that. And again, it's my joy whenever we do that, because we're able to share time as family. And I've gotten to meet Chris. I've gotten to work with Chris, gotten to sing with your children, and now to see them passing that on. I was the same as you. I'm like, leave that ukulele music on. I grew up with musicians. My father, for all of his challenges, played the accordion and played conjunto music. So we were always surrounded with music. And me and my sister was actually the alpha performer. And I followed in her footsteps, and she was older. Wow. So we were the musical theater kids growing up. That's where I got my early training. It was family stuff. Wow. But we looked up to our father, even though he wasn't around. We would listen to his recordings. And then if we got a chance to see him at the dances, oh my God, there's this larger than life figure. Recently, when he passed away, he just talking about COVID. And when I was listening to Maria talk about, man, it was heavy that Drew went all the way there, But the reality of it is, during that time, we realized how close life and death are to each other. And how do you deal with something that's that close to you constantly? Like our communities are dealing with in the Middle East, like our communities are dealing with in Ukraine, like our communities are dealing with in all of our major urban cities, where we're dealing with this type of stress, is how do you deal with constantly being on the edge of life and death? And it is a spiritual quest. So we have to honor that in any marginalized community. Those are our brothers and sisters. Those are our families. And as responsible, which is, I'm sorry, I'm going to call this, as responsible artists, of this society, we have to use that talent and that gift to be able to heal and find ways to heal and advocate for the healing. So I love that you took this time during your birthday where you could have just been stuffing yourself with everything that you like and said, I want to share these incredible personalities with each other. I've been inspired the couple of hours that I've been on, and I thank you. And I'm glad you invited me, and I want to know more and I want to share more. But more than that, you know, I want to sing with you again. So let's figure that out and see when we can do that.
Me a higher love.
Yeah, love. Oh,
I grew up with you guys singing.
bring me
I mean, I
high.
every single episode of Fame, I watched every single episode probably 5 or 6 times. So, you know, I
You
had a
know,
lot
one
to
of
do
the
with my
things.
brother too. Because my brother and I never agreed on anything, but we agreed on Fame. There's a few shows that we would agree on. He liked really, like he loved Head of the Class. I couldn't watch it. I could watch it with the sound off, and just look at it, but I couldn't actually hear the dialogue. It was so bad. But yeah,
It's
this is kind of
interesting.
surreal for me.
It's interesting because when you do listen to that, Dale, and we get that a lot as older artists, right? We get fans that come to us, but immediately what you talk to them about is not fandom. What you talk about is how something about the show, something about the story, something about the characters resonated within them at a very special
Yes.
time. It's amazing how many stories there are about that. And you start to realize that it was a very, very special time to be involved with a show that was, you know,
And it
and
was a
you
special
know,
show, Jesse. It was a special show. I mean, I've been on a lot of series as a regular, and there's something really special about the fans of Fame. There was something about what that show had to say that really impacted people internally.
yeah, yeah. You see that Debbie Allen is getting an honorary Academy Award, right?
No, but good. No, I don't.
Yeah. She's getting one. I think it's like a lifetime achievement. And then
She should
Tom
have one,
Cruise.
for goodness sake.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is getting a humanitarian. And then I think Dolly Parton's getting one also. But they're like
Nice.
the special honorees of the academies this year. Yeah. So that's beautiful. But to talk about how us being part of, there was no show that was as diverse as that show that represented as many different perspectives on that show. And I think every time they brought in new cast, and again, being lucky enough to come in with me, Nia, and with Janet, because Janet was in a transition point.
Oh,
She was
a lot of
working
people
on.
don't realize Janet Jackson was on the show. She was. The three of us came in at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, she was
She came
working
from
on.
Good Times, right? She was on Good Times and then came to Fame from Good Times, I believe.
She came from
Good Times was her first one.
Yeah.
I believe so, but yeah.
But wasn't she also on for a second recurring on right before that also? What was the other one?
There was something else.
What you talking about, Willis?
That's what he's.
Of the Different Strokes.
I think
she was on Good Times. Yeah, she was the neighbor on Good Times. She was like real young. Yeah. But I think I was it Charlene? Was that her name on Different Strokes? I think I remember her being with Todd Bridges. I don't know, but
I think
maybe
so.
it's just in my head.
I think on Different Strokes was her teenage character, and then she turned 18. She turned 18, and she told me one time that her dad was the one who convinced her to try out for the show, right? But it made sense. It made perfect sense. But I think what's incredible is that she was working. I can tell you, she was already working on the Control material at that time. So for her, it was just a transition. Because, I mean, in 87 is when she released Control. So she had already been working on it, the material, for a few seasons. So that means that at that time, she was already breaking away. And this was just like a transition. And it makes sense. You know, she was just passing through. But for us, especially for me, I don't know if it's the same with you, Nia, but it definitely was growing up, being able to grow up and figure out film school, figure out what is this, The entertainment industry, like you said, I know there was
Yeah.
some moments where we were like, what is going on? What is this business about? But what to me was a place to be able to figure that out. And the great thing about it was, one, being able to work with Nia right here and the things that we were able to do. And even though our characters, they tried to push them apart, there was a connection, I think, between everything that we did as art. We became family. So even outside of
Wait,
the characters,
did
we
you
became family.
know that you were originally hired to play Cindy Gibbs' boyfriend?
No,
The producers told me
really,
that when they were looking
really.
for your character, they were looking for a love interest for Holly. But when the two of us
Oh,
got on screen together,
hmm.
they were like, those two. We need to put them
That's kind
together.
of cool because a brown couple, a brown character is one thing. At that time, again, we were pushing the edge.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah,
Totally.
that
That was
made
me. And
total sense.
yeah. And Janet,
Hmm.
I did not know. Did you? They said Janet Jackson. There's probably thousands of Janet Jacksons. I didn't know she was a Janet of the Jackson family. I had no idea. And I remember walking outside the hotel room. We stayed at the International Hilton in New York. Remember, we used to stay there when
Yeah,
we would shoot in New York
yeah.
on the exteriors. And I remember coming out of my room, and there was just a line of people in the hallway, and I'm like, what? And they were all lined up outside of Janet's room. This was our first year. Nobody knew who I was.
You're silly because
And I'm
Janet
like,
was huge.
yeah, but I didn't know that she was Janet.
That
I
Janet
did not
Jackson.
know. I was like, who is this person?
I didn't know she
And
was that
and
Janet
explain
Jackson.
to me why. Because remember, she showed up late. She was like doing a love boat or something. So she showed up to the rehearsals late. You and I got there on time. And when I say late, I mean days late, not hours late. And so she walked in and I was like, Janet, hi, I'm the new kid Nia with you. If you need some help, just let me know. I was so, she had her little baseball cap and she
She
was like,
probably found it refreshing.
okay, thanks. I did not know. I just approached her like a human being. I had no idea. I was
Yeah.
just excited. Like, I know you've been gone. I need a little bit of help.
Oh.
Oh my
Not only
God.
that, remember we were older. So she really was
Yeah. Oh, she was
not only
19.
young, but she was, yeah, she
She was a
was.
baby and had just married DeBar.
I can't believe you guys got married on that
Sorry, there's
show. I
dogs
kept
barking.
going, I can't
Yeah.
believe you guys got married on that show. Everyone,
Yeah.
all the new kids were getting married.
Yeah. 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 It's true.
I was like, I just want to play.
Oh,
I'm here in Hollywood, nothing but
Jesse
dancing.
was like the hot stuff of the show.
Kid in a
And
candy
even the
shop.
producers were like, what was her name? It was Donald and Patricia.
Oh, I love
Right.
them. They were so
And Patricia
nice.
was just
Yeah.
like, they would get so giddy around Jesse, like, oh my God, it's Jesse. you were like,
I remember seeing him Married with Children once. Weren't you on Married with Children once too? Was it Bruno?
Okay, so Christina was a fan of the show because she was a dancer.
Oh,
So
cool.
I had met Christina and her mother at another event, right? And we were friends, we knew each other. And so she at one point called me when the show had ended, and she said, "Hey, I'm on this show, Married with Children." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember you telling me about it on this, at that time when she told me, she said, "Yeah, I'm on this new show. It's on that new, TV station Fox." And I went, "Oh yeah, Fox. That'll never make it.
yeah.
That'll never make it. ABC, NBC, CBS, man, but Fox, give me a
Yeah.
break." Of course, then it wound up blowing up and becoming the huge show it was. So I
Right.
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's Christina." So
Right.
she called me years later after the show was huge, and she said, "Hey, I got to dance with somebody on the show, and I thought of you." And I said, "What's the character, first of all, right?" She goes, "It's a janitor." I said, "These days I'm not playing janitors. I'm trying to get away from playing drug dealers. I'm certainly not going to go to janitors." She goes, "No, it's a hot janitor, and I've got the hots for him, and I do like a dirty dancing thing with him, right?"
Oh,
And I
that's fun.
said, "Okay, that's different." And at that time, I had started doing choreography for theatrical productions and music videos. And so I said, look, I'm doing a lot of choreography, trying to build my reel. Do you have a choreographer? And she said, no. So I actually get the credit at the back for choreographing. Yeah. And it was simple because she was already kind of a dancer. She had the street jazz style that we knew from Fame. So I just said, what are your best moves? We're going to put those in there and we'll do a little bit of dirty dancing. I wanted to dance to Oye Como Va by Santana, but that was a little too
Oh yeah.
Latin for them. So they went for Annabella's, what was it? What did she sing? Annabella's version of Fever in the morning, fever when you hold me tight. You give me fever. Blam, with a lot of hits. So it was very easy. She was great to work with. And that was another cool thing, like Nia working with artists that take their stuff seriously, that have some sort of a technique. Nowadays, with all these, I mean, I hate to say it, but the rise of the American Idol type of YouTube, influencer type of TikTok, just because you can present yourself or just because you have a talent, that doesn't mean you have a skill. And that doesn't mean that it should be the end of your skill. What you should be doing is, again, every time I teach these young people, I say, great. At the end of the sessions, I go, wonderful. Now you have a superpower. So are you going to be a supervillain or a superhero? What are you going to do with that power?
What are you going to do with it?
So in Coahuiltecan, we don't say amen. We do say amen, but we say tamok. So tamok means spirit. So we refer to the ancestors and the spirits around us as the tamoks, but tamok can also mean in the spirit. So it's a blessing. So tamok on your birthday, Carmela. In the ancient Yanaguana Pahalate language, tamok.
Wow, thank you. I loved what you were sharing about the language, what it sounds like, just even San Antonio. It's much closer to, what Dale's talking about with the toning instead of San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. And
Wait,
they
can
even
Can
relate.
you say it for Sienna and Zeph?
Yes. So the original Pahalate Coahuiltecan name for San Antonio was Huanacanwa Pupaco Yanaguana. But that was way too much for the Spanish, so they just started referring it to Yanaguana. But it's Huanacanwa Pupaco Yanaguana, and that means land of the spirit waters.
I love that.
Because these were the headwaters for all the San Antonio River and all the 1,000 creeks that flow from here to the Gulf.
Thank you, my friend.